So the workplace, it's constantly changing and adapting to new ways of working and different technologies.
And another change is how we talk about diversity and inclusivity. And here to tell us more about a local conference happening this week, we are joined by Kelli Williams and Taylor Harris from the Fearless Conference. Thank you both so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us on.
Okay, the Fearless Conference. Explain what is the Fearless Conference?
Yeah, so I'm super excited. I'm the MC this year, and it's a conference that the Brand Lab puts on every year. And this year we're really focused on, talent pipeline and having the workplace really be prepared for inclusive environments for the new talent that's coming into the space.
And so the Brand Lab puts on the Fearless Conference. Tell us about the Brand Lab and the work that they do.
Absolutely. So we are a 16-year-old nonprofit. We're focused on changing the face and voice of the marketing and advertising profession by breaking barriers for the next generation of marketers who have been excluded historically from entering the marketing and advertising profession.
Can you give an example? When you talk about exclusion, what do you mean when you say excluded from that? What do you mean?
Absolutely. So I am a 20-plus year marketer, and I can tell you in my entire career, I've always been the only person of color or only Black person in every single advertising agency or marketing department I've sat in. And so when I look around at my peer marketers, what I know is there have been barriers to entry for other marketers who look like me, who come from similar backgrounds than me, to enter this profession. And it's so important, right? When we think about the content that we see in media, the content we see as we're consuming digital or TV commercials, it's important that we see representation of the amazing world we live in all of the ways that diversity shows up in the world.
There's been obviously so much talk in the political space and in the national space about diversity and equity and inclusion. How does that shape what you're talking about at the Fearless Conference?
Yeah, I think it's so important because the foundation of the Brand Lab and this Fearless Conference is about having sometimes some very difficult conversations, right? And so we hope that at the conference people, get inspired to do the work that is necessary in their workplaces, and also inspire those who are younger to consider this as a future career path for themselves.
You mentioned a future career path for yourselves, right? I'm curious with the marketing profession. You mentioned a lot of times you're the only woman or person of color in a room. Where do you want to see marketing go? Where do you see marketing in 5 to 10 years from now?
That is such a great question. When I think about what success looks like for the Brand Lab, it looks like having marketing departments, having who sits around the table in the conference room coming up with the creative idea for marketing, representing the unique, diverse world that we live in, right? I tell a story often about growing up in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and never seeing cereal commercials with young people who looked like me. And so I came to this conclusion by watching TV that people that looked like me didn't eat cereal.
Because representation, you didn't see the representation.
Because I wasn't represented in those commercials. And so when I think about success, it's having the people in the room that have unique perspectives and backgrounds to be able to bring that to the forefront of the conversation and ensure that the marketing content we put out into the world is correct. It's accurate, and it also doesn't create any specific group as a monolith or an incorrectly represented group.
So the conference, it'll be this Thursday, May 1st. It's a full-day conference. You have a couple of locations, but if you need to do it on Zoom, you can?
Yes, absolutely. So people can still sign up to join us virtually at thebrandlab.org. And so, we're about at capacity for the in-person event, which that's such a great problem to have, right? But yeah, we would love to have people join us virtually. We'll create a lot of opportunity for connection, whether you're in person or online.
Great.
Kelli, Taylor, thank you both so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.